Hello, my amazing artists. I am here today to talk about the assignments that were sent home for the first graders. You will need a pencil, an eraser, something hard to draw on because we're going to take a little trip around your neighborhood and we're going to color a pumpkin in rainbow order. These assignments should take about 60 minutes to do the drawing of your neighborhood and maybe 10 minutes to really nicely color in your pumpkin. So I just want to talk about the My Neighborhood assignment. You have a instruction sheet that will help parents to explain what it is we're doing. I'm going to walk you through it. The first thing you need to do is get the planning worksheet. First, it says draw your street in the center of the page. So I have made my road, this is for my house, down the middle of the page, and then kind of curves. There's a couple streets that come off of my street, and there's a big court down here with some trees in it. So I have added both of my neighbors' homes, but I have not drawn the homes that are across the street from me. I'm going to add those later. But it's best if you take a walk around your neighborhood. Get this planning sheet out, get either a book or a clipboard, something sturdy to draw on. Take your pencil and your eraser and step outside for a little while. Sit maybe across the street from your house. Always make sure your parents are with you and they know where you are before you start doing this. Get some ideas of what those houses look like. Sometimes we have ideas in our head and they don't always come out on paper if we're not looking very closely at what it is we're drawing. So I started out with my house, which I always say kind of looks like a barn because it has this flat top to the roof. There is a vent up here, which I always forget to draw. So I'm going to add that in. I have 2 windows in the upstairs, and there are shutters on those windows, so I'm just drawing quickly. Not a super particular drawing because this is your chance to kind of sketch out what you're doing and then add more details in later. I have this porch that hangs over top of my front porch. I don't know why I couldn't get the words there. So my porch is here, and then there's like a swing over here. My little front porch swing that I have. And my front door is here, and it's really big, so I'm going to draw that guy. There's a border around it. Okay, big giant glass front door, and then there's windows right here. They look just like the ones upstairs with the shutters. And I'm just kind of getting ideas, and it's really hard to draw this small, so make sure you have a really sharp pencil, not like mine, because it's not doing so great with the details. But you definitely want to add in all those details, and sometimes they overlap. Like my window is behind my porch swing, so how does that look? Try your best to squeeze all that stuff in. I know it gets a little jumbled, but if you're taking your time and really getting those details in, it makes a big difference. And then what's on the outside of your house? Is it siding? Is it brick? Let's talk about how to draw those things. So I have siding on the outside of my house, so I'm just going to make some of my lines that go around my roof thicker by going over them, and then I'm adding in the lines that show the siding. Okay, so down here there's a lot going on, so it's really hard to see, but you want to add in things like trees. I have this really fun weeping Japanese maple tree on the corner of my yard right here, and so I want to draw that. There's some bushes between my house and my neighbor's house that kind of sit out towards the street. Kind of add that in and just a general shape. I added a couple little bushes right here, and then I have front porch steps. I also added steps for my neighbor's house over here. Their house kind of sits like this, and this is a flower bed that's made out of bricks, so I want to make that brick shape on the front. They also have this circular vent on the front of their house, and they have siding. So I'm going to add siding. Now, I am not outside currently, so I can't see where all of their windows are. I know they have windows, but I'm not going to add their windows right now. Maybe in my final drawing I will, but right now I'm just kind of trying to get the idea of what their house looks like. So you can really see that they have siding and their front door. I know there's windows up here, so I'm just going to lightly draw to remind myself where those windows are. And I know there's a couple on either side of the front door. Okay? Now, my neighbor over here, what I want you to do is really think about the basic shapes of houses. The house part that you live in is usually a square, or like this house is more of a rectangle. You figure out how that goes and then look at the roof. Is it a triangle or is it like my house where it's flat on the top? Apartment buildings are also flat on the top. I'm going to draw a different one over there in just a moment. So they have a little porch. I always start with the front door. That way I can get everything kind of the same size. So they have a front door like mine, much like mine. Okay, so I'm going to draw that. And then they added a little tiny roof over their front door, and it has these pillars that hold it up like so. So I'm going to draw those. And then they have steps. So I draw a rectangle and then a slanted rectangle and then another regular rectangle to show that the stairs go up. You might even shade the flat or the angled rectangles so that it looks like you can go up the stairs. Let me do that over here to show you on my own house how those stairs kind of go up. Okay? Then, so there's a porch underneath this, so I need to draw that so that it doesn't look like it's floating in the middle of the world. And then I know they have 2 windows in the front. And I know that there's a couple windows up here. And I will have to add more details once I get a good look at their house. But their roof looks like this. And then again, I know that they have siding on their house, but I'm going to show you really quick how to draw bricks. So you're going to start out with just lines across your drawing. When you're drawing these lines, it's best to just start at one side, draw a small line till you run into the next thing that you've drawn, and continue that kind of skipping process as you go across the page. If their house was made of brick, I would go back in and add little vertical lines that are staggered. That means that they are opposite each other. So it's not just one straight line, it goes back and forth so that it looks more like bricks. If you really study your subject, which is these houses, you will see how the bricks are put on there, just like I am drawing them. So we're going to make this a brick house even though it's not. And that's okay. So you just shouldn't have little straight lines on top of each other. Okay, there you have it. I'm sure there's a little vent up here, and those vents are to keep the attic cool. And I'm just going to make this look like siding at the top. So like that. Now I know this house is blue. This house is like a creamy color, and then my house is a light yellow and dark green color. I'm also going to draw, there's a giant tree in my front yard, and it sticks way up high above the house. So I am going to actually put it a little off to the side, just so you can really see the house better. I have a giant tree, and I'm just going to kind of give the idea that there's branches coming out and leaves on it, just so it's kind of in there. And I kind of went out of the space that we have, but that's okay. Now I've run out of room on this side of the street, and there is another house over here, but I'm not going to be able to fit it very well, so I'm just going to leave it off. When you're done with your side of the street, turn your paper upside down. Then you can draw, I have 2 houses across from me. The house over here sits almost directly across from my home. And then the house next to it is here. And if you draw too big or you think it's wrong, feel free to erase. Also remember that you are drawing very lightly. Break the shapes down into basic shapes so that you know exactly what those basic shapes are. I know you all know how to do this. Actually, this house has a very interesting front porch. It's kind of set off to the side a little bit, which I really love. But these lines, you can't see through this porch, so we have to erase just a little bit, okay? So these are my neighbor friends. Their house is blue. They have a front door. They have a big mailbox over here. Maybe just do it like that. And then this is their porch. So I'm just drawing a little angled line to show the depth of their porch. And then they have some steps. All right. So I'm just shading in a little bit here so you can see what is what. All right, so this is their driveway. So we're just gonna kind of make that go down like that. All right, and then I know they have a window over here. Maybe you can't see all of it, but it's there. And then they have a window here. And I think there's a smaller window right there. Their house is a little different than the house on my side of the street. And it also has a tiny little window upstairs in their attic, okay? So there's my neighbor's house. This is all shingles, which is what you put on top of a roof. And if you want to make it look three-dimensional, make your lines angle like the roof line. So these lines right here angle to the side, and my shingles are also angling to the side. So once I get to the halfway point, they can kind of go straight. All right. I think you have the idea of how to draw a house. Start with your basic rectangle or square. Add either the triangle or a flat line on the top. Think about where the front doors are of the building or the house, where maybe stairs are, or if there's a path that leads to the street, you could draw that in. Adding in things like my neighbors have a big fence right here to keep their dogs in their yard. And this is their driveway. Okay, and then they have a fence that goes all the way around their yard. So think about how you could draw that to make it look like a fence. So I have to think about this for a minute. I'm just gonna add some more. And then, I'll have to think about that more. But if this was a fence, what would make it look like a fence? Would it be a line down the middle? Would it be lines like this? Just depends on what that fence looks like from your perspective, what it is that you see, and break things down into basic shapes. What if I make it? This does not look like their fence at all. I was totally going off my memory, and I know this is not what that fence looks like. That's why it's so important to take that walk in your neighborhood. I actually really do not like this, so I'm gonna erase it and just leave it be. Because I didn't add fences over here, and like I have a fence on my property, and they have theirs, and they have theirs. I'm just gonna leave those out. Let's talk about some shrubs like bushes or other things that might be around the neighbors' houses. Like maybe they have flowers, or, you know, I'm just gonna add some greenery spots so that I don't forget what it is I should be drawing. And these people have windows on their door, so I want to include that. Actually, I have a window on my door too, and I kind of forgot to draw it. I'm trying to think. That gives you a great idea of what it is you should be drawing. I did not finish this guy, but you can definitely do it. This should be a quick sketch, and then when you get home, you can go back in and add more details. The last step to this is adding color. So I know my neighbors over here have a blue house. Even though I drew it brick, it is blue. So I'm going to color it. Colored pencils are going to work fabulously for this project so that it's a nice, smooth coloring and you can go around all those little details very, very easily. Let's not use markers on this project. Crayons are also a good alternative, although it's really hard to get into small little spots with a crayon. So colored pencils are going to be your friend for this one. If you don't have colored pencils, please don't worry. Use whatever it is you have at home. You just want to color them in very carefully. And then you can either go back with your pencil and darken up some of your lines, or you could use a black colored pencil for this step too. This will be your final piece. If you want to draw a sketch on one side just to kind of get ideas of what things look like and then turn it over and do your final drawing on the back, that is totally fine with me. However you decide to do that, please include your name, grade, and group letter, whether you're group A or group B, so that I know exactly who this belongs to. Start with your street down the middle of the page, then add your house first, and then the houses on either side. Then remember, turn your paper upside down and do the houses that are across the street from you. If there's not a house across the street, what is there? Is it buildings? Is it businesses? You can draw whatever you see. I know each neighborhood and every family lives in a different house, so please do whatever it is that works best for you in your situation. If there's any questions about this, feel free to send me an email. All right, on to our pumpkin. We're going to talk about rainbow order. Rainbow order is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. These two colors are sometimes called different names. Blue can sometimes be called indigo. That is more of a blue-purple color. And then purple sometimes is called violet. So those are just fancy names for the same thing that we've always been doing. I suggest you line up your markers in rainbow order. Then, starting on the very left side of your pumpkin, color around the edge. Whoop. Staying inside the lines, very slowly and carefully, making sure that there's no white space showing. And I like to use the side of my marker where it's the thickest rather than the thin line that the tip makes. It makes coloring nice and even, as well as fast. Now, some of you are saying, I don't have all my markers, or I'm missing a color. You can use crayons. That is totally fine with me. We're just reviewing all of our color order, which we talked about in kindergarten, but I want to make sure that all of my first graders remember that color order. And what better way to do it in the fall than by making a rainbow pumpkin? All right, there's orange, again, yellow. We're going slowly around the edges. And then faster in the middle. And again, I'm using the edge of this. And as you notice, there's a black tip to this. It's because I used it over top of dark colors. And that's what ruins markers sometimes, especially the lighter colors. Just make sure there's no white space showing. Okay. And if you remember, your primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. So while you're reviewing this, you can watch the video on YouTube that I sent to your parents. It is from, I believe, Sesame Street or Sesame Street Go, something like that. And it is a great video that's super fun that will remind you about how colors mix to make other colors. So red, yellow, and blue are our primary colors, and orange, green, and purple are our secondary colors. Red and yellow make orange, yellow and blue make green, and red and blue make our very last color, which is purple. For the stem, if you want, you can repeat the rainbow order in tiny little lines if you want, or you can even color it brown or green, whatever you would like. So the stem is up to you. Please don't forget to put your name, grade, and group number, or group letter, I'm sorry, down in the bottom. I'm gonna color my stem like this, brown, and I was looking for another brown, but I don't have one with me. I was gonna go over this with like a little colored pencil just so it's lighter, but I can save that for later. That is everything for the neighborhood and the pumpkin. I hope this video helps you. Sorry it's so long. Feel free to watch again, fast forward through parts that are kind of longer. I hope that all of my students do a wonderful job drawing their neighborhood. Again, if you need more space or want to do a final drawing, you can use the back of your paper or get another blank piece of like printer paper or notebook paper to do it on as well. Thanks, have fun guys!